what I want you to see is the first one, and then I'll give you a chance to work out the second one once you see the first one. The announcement, though, is that this will be a quiz. Same two types of questions tomorrow. Okay, so quiz tomorrow, do now quiz tomorrow. I'm going to write that on the top. Tomorrow is Thursday. All right, so when you walk into class, you're going to see another question just like this. Two questions where you're going to have to do this twice. Again, it's been a homework assignment, now we're going over it. So what we have to do is we're looking to write the equation of a line. So before we can start writing the equation of a line in slope-intercept form or standard form, we have to know what parts to kind of look at, all right? In slope-intercept form, your equation of your line looks like this: y equals mx plus b. So I need to find two things. I need to find m, and I need to find b. If I can find those two missing pieces, and again, we know this, I can write the equation of that line. And then from that equation, I can then turn around and write it in standard form. So what we're going to do is, and again, I marked it just so everybody understands, I marked the 2 points in this case because it's probably pretty difficult for you to see the 2 points that are on the line, but you can pick any 2 points as long as they cross the box. This first point happens to be a point that's on a line that I'm going to use to help me find the slope, but it's also my y-intercept, right? So if it's my y-intercept, then I know the value of b. That's all, because b is the y-intercept. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a negative 5. So that part's done. My slope is going to be my change in my x on the bottom and my change in my y. So my x change and my y change. So let's take a look at what that is. To go from this point to this point, I'm going to move over in the x 1, 2, 3. And that's a moving over in the positive direction because it's to the right, so it's a positive 3. 1, 2, 3. And then how do I get to that other point in the y? I'm going to move up, which is another positive move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right? So the slope is 6 over 3, or we can write it as what? What's 6 over 3? 2 over 1, or 2. Okay? When we're looking to graph a line, we want to try to leave the slope in terms of a fraction. When we have the graph of the line and we want to write it as an equation, if you don't have to have it as a fraction, you don't need it. But if you write it as 2 over 1, that's fine. So now I'm ready to write the equation of a line. Y equals the slope we found out to be 2, and the y-intercept we found out to be a negative 5. And we simply plug them in, and we're done. I don't know. And then we have standard form. Standard form is ax plus by is equal to c. And the only restrictions that we have here, constraints to use a STEM word, is that we have to have a, b, and c as integers. Okay? A, b, and c must be integers. All right? And x and y need to be on the same side of the equal sign. All right? So I take my equation, y equals 2x minus 5, and I got to get the x and the y together. So I want to move that 2x over. Two ways you can do this. This is where people are having a problem. You can actually, if these were things that you can just pick up and move, imagine that you can do that. So I pick up the 2x on the right-hand side of the equal sign, and I move it over to the left-hand side. When it crosses the equal sign, all it does is change signs. So if I want to lift this 2x up and move it over here, when it crosses that equal sign, it just changes signs. Well, if it changes signs, it becomes a negative 2x. The y is staying where it is, and it stays as a positive y equals, and the 5 that's left is a negative 5. Okay? And that's going to be your standard form of your line. The other way you could have done it, I don't know if this is up there or not, but I'll take a look in a second and move the paper. Yes, it is. Y equals 2x minus 5. You can say, okay, well, I need to zero the 2x out on the right-hand side because I want it on the left-hand side. And that's how we do things. If we want to move things over from one side to the next, is we zero them out. We're doing the same thing when we pick it up and move it across the equal sign. And you get the same answer. Negative 2x plus y is equal to a negative 5. Are we good? All right, now take 2 more minutes and see if you can use what we just learned in 1 to try to figure out what number 2 is. Number 2 is a little bit more complicated because of the standard form piece. is the third. I have the other. Go out tonight. All right, Timmy. Question what? You can use any one of the two that you see there.
Does it matter like which way you do like the X from Y first?
Nope. Nope. But once you establish it, then go from there. So if you decide to go from this point to this point, and you decide to go this way, that's fine. That's a positive X. But then you're going to have to go this way. All right. Don't go this way, and then you know what I mean. So because you'll get the negative where you need it to be. And that's another thing that I want to talk to you guys today about in terms of slope. All right, about 45 seconds to solidify those answers, then we're going to go over it. Like I said, 2 questions tomorrow. I'm going to make them, I guess, 6 points each. Each part will be 3 points, so it's a 12-point quiz, and it's just going to be the way it is. I'm going to make it one which is pretty straightforward, where you're going to get a whole number or a nice integer slope, and then the second one you get the fractional slope that you're going to have to figure out how to deal with when it goes to standard form. All right, let's take a look. So when we go to do this second question now, let me see if I can get it all centered, straight. Okay. Yeah. All right, so we go ahead to do this, and we're going to try to go with the slope-intercept form and standard form. Again, slope-intercept form from a line, we have to know the equation y equals mx plus b. So we're going to get that y equals mx plus b. We need to find out what m is, and we need to find out what b is. B is easy. B, by definition, is simply where it crosses the y-axis. What number is that? 3. So b is 3. That's the easy part. Okay. M, I think m is also the easy part. It's going to be how you get from one point to the next point on your graph, and it's going to be a fraction. I'll use this point. It doesn't matter. You see 2 points that I kind of made a little bit darker on the graph to kind of make my line. And what you want to do is you want to find your change in your x and your change in your y. Your change in your x is going to be your denominator. Now, Elizabeth said, does it matter how we get there? I think it was Elizabeth. Do we go this way and then down, or do we go this way and then across? It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do, you wind up still with the same answer. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my x change first from this point. 1, 2, 3. My x change is 3, and it's in the positive direction. My y change is 1, 2, but it's down. So my y change is going to be a negative 2. So my slope is just simply a negative 2/3. If you did things differently, and this is what I want you guys to know, I'm going to write it here. If you got negative 2/3 as a slope, or if you got 2 over negative 3, or if you got negative and then 2/3, they're all the same thing. These slopes are all the same. My advice to you is when you start getting good at this, please write the negative in the numerator. It just makes your life easier. It doesn't matter how you do it, but make your life as easy as possible. Start to choose one and get familiar with it. You'll always see me write it in the numerator. Okay, so here we go. Y equals my slope, negative 2/3 x, and then plus 3. There it is. That's the equation of my line. Now I want to write that in standard form. Okay, so there's going to be 2 things that you can do. I showed you one way last time. I'm going to show you a different way this time, because some of us have a problem with trying to get that fraction over to the other side, right? But if I want to write this in standard form, I'll write standard form right next to it. AX plus BY is equal to C, where A, B, and C has to be integers. All right, well, let's take a look at this. I got to get my X's and my Y's on the same side, and these numbers in front, A, B, and C, have to be integers. The problem I have is the fact that 2/3 is not. So I showed you, just take the denominator. What's the denominator of my fraction? 3. Multiply everything, each term by that 3. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to multiply the y by 3, I'm going to multiply this by 3, and I'm going to multiply this by 3. I get 3y is equal to, now the reason why I multiply by 3 is because now watch what happens. This cancels with this, and I'm left with a negative 2x. That's good for standard form. And then plus 3 times 3, 9. The rule for equality is that as long as you do something to one side of the equation, multiplying it by 3, you multiply the other side of the equation by that same number, and the result is still equal. Mathematically, I'm good. All right. Now, how would I get this in standard form? What would I have to do? Last piece. You can add the 2x to both sides, or simply take that 2x up from the paper and move it across and put it with the 3y. I'm going to move it over here. When it crosses the equal sign, what happens to it? Changes signs. So 2x plus 3y is equal to 9. Pick it up, move it over to the other side, changes signs. There's my standard form of that equation. Questions on that? Are we good? All right, I just recorded that, so hopefully I can put that up in the duration of between now and when you guys go home. So if you want to study for the quiz tomorrow, you can take a look at that quick lesson. It should be up. I'll call it due now, quiz on tomorrow. I'll call it something like that. It should be probably the latest one posted. Okay, questions? Because I'm going to give you something, then I'm going to grade tomorrow that looks... Okay. So you have a chance to practice it again. Next piece. You guys are out of do nows. You're out of do now turn-ins. And I just had mine. Here it is. Okay, your next... What is today? Tuesday?
Yeah.
Today's Wednesday. All right. This one says due Wednesday. So on each of these ones, there's 2 of them. That's all there is. There's 2. So on each of the tops of these, just add the next day. Are we okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Leave this out, and I'll show you where to make the changes. If you cannot remember the information that is in these packets, please look it up. Please jot it down. And once again, I'm going to try to have every single one of these assignments. When you get these assignments back, these turn-ins, they will be up on the website in terms of their solution. Okay? So if we take a look at this one.